Hey everybody, it's Angie and welcome to Hot and Flashy. In today's Foundation Friday for over 50s, I thought that we would do something a little bit different. Instead of reviewing a new foundation today, I am going to tell you what my top 5 foundations are for mature skin. And that's because I haven't updated this video in 2.5 years. And I've noticed lately that almost my entire top 5 has turned over. Anyway, I've reviewed a lot of foundations. I reviewed over like 120 in my 6 years here on YouTube, and out of those there's really only a handful that I ever reach for on a regular basis. Just a little bit of background on me. I'm 56 right now. My skin is still combo. I am a little bit oily in my T-zone. The rest of my face is normal. I get a little bit dry sometimes around the edges or around my chin. Being 56, I have wrinkles. I have enlarged pores from all the sun damage that I did. I also have some age spots and, just things that I like to cover up to help me look a little bit better than I am. I like something that looks natural on the skin. I'm not a huge one for full coverage foundation. I do like it to reflect some light because I think that helps to make you look younger, but if it's really shiny, it tends to accentuate my texture. I like something that won't settle in my pores and won't settle in my wrinkles. So these are going to be the 5 that work best on my type of skin and that give me the look that I like. If you like a different kind of look or you have a different kind of skin, then they might not work for you. So I'll run down my top 5, and in addition to that, I'll also give you the best way to apply it that I've found or that worked best for me, and also what other products help to make it work better, help it look better. Some are more for like casual everyday wear. Some are when I really want to look top-notch and perfect and know that I'm going to look great for a long time. That one, of course, is my holy grail. So let's talk about that one first. Let's start at the top. That one is Chanel Perfection Lumiere Velvet. This has been my holy grail since 2015. This retails for $50 for 1 ounce. It comes in only 9 shades, which is one of the drawbacks from it. This one goes on best with the fingers. So if you're a fingers person, this could be the foundation for you. It is so lightweight and fluid that if you try to use a sponge with it, the sponge just absorbs it all. I don't find that it works very well with a sponge. This offers sheer to medium buildable coverage with a satin matte finish. It's not a flat matte. It is a beautiful skin-like finish. It's so lightweight and sheer. It just glides on over your skin, but it sets up and it's dry and it's set and it's not coming off underneath my fingernails and all over my clothes. It doesn't feel like anything on your face. It doesn't look like a mask of makeup. It's the one I'm wearing today, of course, because it's my favorite out of all of them. It doesn't settle into wrinkles. It doesn't settle into pores. So that is, a complete deal breaker for me. If it makes my wrinkles look bigger or makes my pores look bigger, then that stinks and I don't like that. And it is long wearing all on its own. I get 10 plus hours of wear out of this, and I never use a primer with it. It doesn't need primer. It doesn't need setting powder. It doesn't need setting spray to stay on your face looking beautiful all day long. Primer tends to make it look a little bit heavier, a little bit cakier. So if you've tried it and you tried a heavier primer with it, that could be the problem. I think it's best closer to your skin. I do wear sunscreen every day and it works great with my sunscreen. If you really want to use a primer, the primer that I find works best with it is the Laura Mercier Foundation Primer. This is the original formula. The setting powder that I use with this is the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Pores powder. This is so fine and beautiful and lightweight. So I just do a little bit light dusting right up here where I have textured skin, right on the fronts of my cheeks where I have enlarged pores. The 2 big drawbacks on it for me are that it does contain a little bit of Este alcohol and it does contain fragrance. It's definitely best for people with normal to oily skin. Just going over the tests that I do in the review, it looked great in outdoor sunlight. And it is the only foundation to ever pass the phone test, and it passed the flash photography test. So this is a great one to wear if you're going out for a special occasion. If it's going to be nighttime and there is going to be flash photography, it will look great. If you're going to need it to last well on your skin all day long and look really good and not heavy and not makeup-y and not slide around and not give you any surprises when you go into the bathroom and look in the mirror, this is your foundation. For me, it's foolproof. It goes on so easily. It looks so perfect all the time. I don't need to use a lot of it. It's perfect. I love it. And of course, I will link all the review videos up here as I talk about each foundation. So if you want to go out and see the thorough review on it, you can check that out as well. All right, so number 2, and the only other foundation that is in the category of Holy Grail for me, is the L'Oreal True Match. This is a $10 drugstore foundation, and it is 1 ounce, and it comes in 33 shades. So a really good shade range on this one, very inclusive, and they divide them up into cools, neutrals, and warm. Now, it doesn't come with this cap on it. It doesn't come with a pump. I have stolen this off of another foundation. If you were a dry skin person who was nervous about trying the Chanel, perhaps try this one. This one could be good on you because it doesn't contain the Este alcohol or fragrance. So this one applies really easily with the fingers, with a brush, with a sponge. I feel like this one looks best when used with a slightly damp blending sponge just because it shears it out ever so slightly. This offers like a sheer to medium but buildable coverage. It has a satin skin-like finish that's very pretty on the skin. It reflects light in such a beautiful way. This was one of the prettiest ones in the outdoor sunshine test. It just made my skin look so hydrated and youthful, and it looked great in the kitchen light as well. It doesn't settle into wrinkles and it doesn't settle into pores. It wore well for about 5 hours on its own. That was the real drawback with this one. I did get this up to 10, maybe a little bit over 10 hours by adding a primer and by adding a setting powder and a setting spray. So you kind of have to throw a lot of things at this. The primer that I liked the best with this was the Catrice Prime and Fine. This really worked well under it. It really helped to smooth my skin underneath it, so that was great. The other primer that I would use with this is the Cover FX Gripping Primer. This one really helps to grip your makeup onto your face. My only problem with this primer is that it can be slightly drying, so I tend to use this now just on the end of my nose, like my little devil horns, and the center of my chin, you know, like in my T-zone where I'm not too concerned about my skin being dry. But the setting powder that I use with everything is the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Pores HD powder, and the setting spray I would use is the Morphe Continuous Setting Spray. This one doesn't contain any Este alcohol, so it's going to help to hydrate your skin. It failed the phone test, sadly. It left a big makeup smudge on there, but it did pass the flash test with flying colors. So a really great one. Give it a try if you're looking for something for all skin types for like an everyday foundation. All right, number 3 of my top 5 is Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation. This guy retails for $42 for 1 ounce, and this comes in 55 shades. This one also doesn't come with a pump. You can buy a pump from Estee Lauder for 10 bucks. This is such a beautiful foundation. You can use it sheer, you can use it medium, you can use it full coverage. Like, I don't love it at full coverage because it's just not my thing, but at medium and sheer, oh my gosh, it looks so beautiful on the skin. And it applies really easily with the fingers, the brush, or a sponge. My favorite way to apply it though is with a damp beauty blender because I find that it does shear it out a little bit. So this one also has kind of a satin matte finish. It's not a flat matte. This is also alcohol free and fragrance free, so I think good for all skin types. It doesn't settle into wrinkles. It doesn't settle into pores, so awesome there. I gotta say, it's double wear, but I could not get the wear up beyond like 5 or 7 hours. So I had to throw a lot of other products at this to get it to work, to get it up past 10 hours. Once I did that, it wore really, really well. I have tried it with the Cover FX Gripping Primer. It does work really well with this. And then another primer that I really like with this because it's really lightweight is the Too Faced Hangover RX 3-in-1 Setting Spray. So this one you can use as a primer. You just give it a little spritz, wait for it to dry a second, and then put the makeup on over it, and it just makes it look so beautiful. It's so lightweight. It doesn't add any heaviness or cakiness to the foundation, so that's a great one. I set it with my IT Cosmetics setting powder. It looked really great in the kitchen light. It looked really great in the bright, bright outdoor sunlight. Sadly though, it failed the phone test, but it did pass the flash test, so it looks great in flash photography. All right, number 4 in my top 5 is a new foundation to me and a new one into my top 5 list. It actually started at position number 5, but I did bump it up just for this video because comparing it to the one that was in number 4, this one is a better foundation overall that looks better on the skin. This CYO foundation is a $7 foundation for an ounce. This comes in 14 shades, so a pretty limited shade range. I had a hard time getting a shade match. I actually, of the 14 shades, I bought 5 of them for the review. I had to mix 3 of them together to get something that I could actually wear just to do the review and test the foundation. Then after I put up the review, all these people had said, oh no, the one that you didn't buy is the one that would be perfect for you. So I went out and got 105, which still is not perfect for me, but I know that people who have very pale skin, who either are olivey or a little bit more yellowy, love this foundation because they can find a perfect match, and a lot of the other foundations, they just don't have anything. This applies really, really easily with a brush or a sponge. It doesn't really go on very well with the fingers, but I think that a slightly damp Beauty Blender sponge works the best with this. It is a sheer to medium buildable coverage foundation. It has a slightly more luminous finish than the other things in my top 5, but it's still like a satiny finish that leans a little bit more luminous, and it's very youthful looking, even out in the harsh, bright sunshine. This is also alcohol-free and fragrance-free. It's also a cruelty-free brand. I think it would be great for all skin types: sensitive, dry, normal, combo, oily. I mean, it worked great on all different parts of my face, looked great no matter where I put it. This is another one that wears 10 plus hours, doesn't need primer to do it. I thought the primer actually made this one look worse and wear worse, so I don't recommend a primer with this one either. You know, a little setting powder, again, the cosmetics can help a little bit if it's too luminous for you. Unfortunately though, it failed the phone test, so it says it's transfer proof or transfer resistant, which I didn't find it to be, but it did pass the flash test, so it looked great in like a dark room with bright flash photography. This is a great one to try. It's only available online, so I'll put a link to it in the information box below the video. There will be links to all the foundations and all the other products that I'm recommending to go with them. Let's move on to the last one in my top 5, which is the CoverGirl Matte Made Foundation, another one from the drugstore. So this one is $8.50 for an ounce. This one comes in 40 very inclusive shades, from the darkest dark to the lightest light. And this is another one that is a matte finish, but again, it's not a flat matte, it's a very skin-like matte. It reflects light in a really nice way as well. This one was a little bit more difficult to apply. It worked best with a brush. It wasn't great with a sponge or the fingers. It offers sheer to medium buildable coverage. It wears a good 5 to 10 hours on its own. It can be improved with some primer. I like a lightweight primer with this too. I like a spritz of the Too Faced Hangover RX underneath this, or a little bit of the Cover FX gripping primer. This one almost passed the phone test. It had like the slightest little bit of a film on the phone glass, but nothing major, but it did fail the flash test. It looked good in the kitchen light, and it looked only okay in natural light. This one is Este alcohol free. It is also fragrance free. CoverGirl went completely cruelty free earlier in 2018. That's one that I use kind of as an everyday foundation, but I really do like this one too. So that's my roundup of the top 5 foundations for my mature skin. I hope that if you're looking for a great foundation for your mature skin, that you'll give one of these a try and let me know how you liked it. And if you're looking for a review on any other foundation, the best way to find whether I've reviewed something is to type in Hot and Flashy and the name of the foundation in the YouTube search bar, and that will bring up my foundation review on it. Then the other place to look for my foundation reviews is over on my blog. I keep a running list called The List. I know, so creative, right? It's of all the foundations that I have ever reviewed. They are in order from best to worst. That's where you can look for the rest of my foundation reviews. I also have a Foundation Friday playlist that I will link right here if you want to look in there for any of my recent foundation reviews or my old foundation reviews. They're all fun to look at. That's it for today's little wrap up of my top 5. I hope you found the video helpful and informative. If you did, go ahead and give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. As always, I thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate your watching. So have a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.